In the heart of Bumthang stands Wangduechhoeling Palace, the ancestral home of the Wangchuck dynasty. Today, it is a living museum and cultural center, a space where history, art, and devotion come together to tell the story of a kingdom guided by wisdom and compassion. This year, as the nation celebrates the 70th birth anniversary of the 4th Druk Gyalpo, our Bodhisattva King, the Wangduechhoeling Palace Museum and Cultural Center becomes home to an extraordinary art exhibition, a tribute born not only of admiration but of love. The artist behind this collection, Tatiana Krizmanic, is a painter whose work speaks the language of joy, movement, and the unseen beauty that binds human hearts to the divine. Born in Croatia and raised in the United States, Tatiana's journey to Bhutan began not with a plan, but with a calling. Before we dive in to the depth of your art, I'd love to start with something a little bit more personal and close to your heart, your own journey. You first came to Bhutan in 2010. That's 15 years ago now. So could you please tell us how that happened, and also what were some of your first impressions of Bhutan?
Yeah, so I was part of sort of a delegation of students from Croatia who are Rabjam Rinpoche students. And Rabjam Rinpoche invited me to come I'm a Croatian living in New York, but he invited me to come. And so we came for the 100th birth anniversary of His Holiness Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche celebrations. And there were 3 days of celebrations. And then Rinpoche sent us on a tour of Bhutan. We went to Bumthang. We traveled on long roads at that time, saw many things. So that was my first experience of Bhutan, and I didn't know what to expect. But an unusual thing happened when we landed and we went directly to Rabjam Rinpoche's house. And I thought, this is so familiar. Everything was familiar, but yet completely foreign. So it was an unusual first impression.
Do you believe in past life connections?
I do, but I always wish that I was more clear about how that happens. But of course, it has to be.
It has to be.
I think it has to be, yeah.
I think 15 years ago, would you have ever thought that you'd be dedicating a whole exhibition?
No, I wouldn't have thought it even a year ago. I thought that was my one and only time in Bhutan. I didn't expect to come back. But then I came back the following year because the director of a film invited me to come and help with the production of that documentary. So then it was 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And then I didn't come for many years. And then I came last year again. And that was also somewhat unexpected. But a beautiful trip. But last year was my first time that I felt really like, okay, I'm a tourist here.
Right.
We were shown a lot of different places. It was an amazing trip.
I'm a little curious because you've traveled to different parts of Bhutan. Where is one place that you really felt something different, something energetically, spiritually, or creatively?
I have to say that for me, the top is Tarpaling. Something happened there. The feeling there is completely different. This is where I would say, yes, there's some connection to a past life. It has to be. Because it's so high. I never go to such high places. I struggle with altitude. So, that's 4,000 meters.
Yes.
But it was really like stepping into another dimension for me, personally. And every time, I've been there twice now, and every time I go there, I'm supposed to stay maybe an hour. I end up staying a whole day. Time stretches, and we just end up staying. So I would say that for me is a top experience.
Wonderful. Over the past 15 years, Tatiana has painted Bhutan not only as a place, but as a feeling. Her canvases capture the rhythm of prayer flags in the wind, the sacred quiet of songs, and the luminous spirit of a kingdom guided by gross national happiness. For the 70th birth anniversary of His Majesty the 4th Druk Gyalpo, Tatiana has created 70 paintings, each one a prayer, a meditation, and a story. I'd like to talk more about Echoes of a Kingdom now.
Yes.
for me personally, when I saw your beautiful paintings, it almost feels like being in a dream. And I know that you that may resonate with you, because dreams play an important factor to you as well, right?
It is to me, absolutely it is. And it's interesting that you say that. I'm very sort of like, oh, okay, that makes sense to me. Because, ideally, in my dream life, I would have been able to paint these in place.
Right.
Take the time. But because I was traveling with friends, we had to keep moving. And I did many sketches, the watercolor sketches, so I could later develop the paintings, but I didn't think I was going to do this many.
Right, 70.
At all. Because then when Tsedon Dorji invited me, we met him here through my friend Daniela. I was maybe home from Bhutan for 3 days, and this WhatsApp message comes, most unusual. How would you like to exhibit your art in Bhutan? Would you be interested? I wrote back so fast. I didn't have a chance to think. I just wrote absolutely. And later I thought, what is wrong with me? I didn't ask any details. I didn't ask when. Nothing. Just sure.
Serendipitous.
Yeah. So, and he said he didn't think much about it. It came as a thought he wrote. So it was almost like, who's driving this bus,
I think some of these beautiful works of art or happy accidents happen that way.
Yeah, I think so.
What's your creative process like? Because and how long did it take? Because these are 70 works of art, and
so there are so 70 is a magical number, right? Because it's His Majesty's 70th birth anniversary. So there are 70 distinct pieces that you can pick up in your hand and say, okay, this is a piece. So some of them are actually a triptych. There's a triptych. So there's 3, the largest pieces of Pobjika Valley, and it's 3 canvases. So we counted every single one. But still, nevertheless, we probably have more work than we have wall space.
Right.
I'll say that. But no, I had no idea, when Tsedon Dorji gave me the date, I said, no, this isn't possible. He asked for 30 or 40 pieces. I said, this is 2-3 years worth of work. Not possible. So then I'm going back to your first question about that they seem like a dream. I couldn't do them here. I had to do them from my memory, from my photographs, from my sketches. So they are a little bit dreamlike, because for a year I was living in Bhutan in my head and heart, right? Yeah. So but my work tends to be that way anyway, but this much more so, and it's different than my other work. If you look at my website, this has a very different feeling, right?
What I really appreciated was the colors are very much similar to our natural dyes.
Yes.
And you can tell, I think anybody can tell that there is genuine appreciation in your art. It's almost like it's a tribute to Bhutan as well.
It is a tribute to, absolutely. It's a totally heartfelt tribute to Bhutan. So, when I was here, I was able to only do small like this, and they'll be in the exhibit. These 24 little watercolors will be in the exhibit, so that people will be able to see, oh, that big painting came from this little. Because photographs you can take, but you can, if I don't do it by hand, I won't be able to have the same recall. So it won't have that soul. Right? So for me, Bhutan is I don't even know quite how to describe. I know people would say always the same things, but it is a very mysterious place that also feels like home. In my heart, I come here, I completely relax. How is this possible? This is so different from any other culture I've encountered. So, when I went to work on this, I actually went into retreat. So my schedule was practice in the morning, paint in the afternoons. I did it in 3 spurts, November, February, and August. But all the times in between, all I was thinking about was Bhutan. And how I was creating paintings in my mind. When I couldn't paint, I was planning them in my mind, and then I would come and do it. So I don't know if that sounds like a crazy process, but that was the process. And my colors usually are very what we call chromatic. They come out straight out of the tube, red. But it didn't feel appropriate for this body of work. So I actually had to play a little bit. First they were too toned down. So I did a lot of color studies. a lot of preparation, and then kind of would burst into
Wow.
a creative spurt.
I would imagine that anyone else would have felt some sort of pressure, or did you ever feel the enormity of
No.
the project? No.
Isn't
that's
that crazy?
wonderful.
I wouldn't call it pressure. It was a push. It was a push. But I didn't feel overwhelmed ever.
It makes it more special for the viewer, because now we know that it was literally everything that you were imagining on your canvas.
Yeah.
It's a peek into your mind as well.
It's a for better or for worse. It's a peek into my mind.
In this book, you mentioned that each of the 70 works felt like a prayer for you.
Yes.
And so could you share how your daily practice, whether spiritual or artistic, shaped this very special collection?
Of course. I think where my practice helped, my meditation helped here, and not just in this year, but the whole lead up, the whole many decades long practice, was that I could actually really open my heart and feel the threads, that Bhutan provided. So all I had to do is see and start weaving the art, That's all. And I think practice helps all of us, I believe, to relax like that and be your authentic self. So without trying to put another layer of something to contrive something, this had to be very authentic.
Right.
This couldn't be contrived.
So true.
So that was the biggest job on this.
How long have you been painting?
So I remember this moment when I was 7 years old. My father's best friend was one of Croatia's most beloved painters. He was a very poetic painter. But to me, he was just like Uncle Nick, And I wanted to go follow him around when he painted in the field. He would be out in the fields. And Istria is this place that we all love in Croatia. And so I asked him, could I follow you? Could I go with you? And he's like, okay, sure, you carry my easel or my paints or something. And I remember this moment where he stood, it was a hot summer day, a little bit of a breeze, lots of crickets, and he was painting there's like a farmhouse on top of a hill. I knew that that's what it was, but the way he painted it was completely his own. And I got hooked. I was like, oh, I want to know this. How does this happen? So that was the seed. And then I pestered him, and then he agreed, okay, you have to learn how to do it from scratch. Mix the pigment, ground the canvases. So for many years, when we could study together, and then I did that. But my first painting was in school. I had a very supportive painting teacher, and there was a competition. And she said, okay, you guys, any subject, you do it, and I'll submit it to competition. And my painting won. And I won like this gold medal in the youth competition, and I went off to a different city for the exhibition. And I loved it. I really loved it. I wanted to go to the art academy, but my parents were lawyers. And they said, absolutely not. That's not a way to make a living. So I had to, do other things for a while, but I circled back around.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And it's so wonderful how you found painting as something that supplements your practice as well, or vice versa. My next question is, and you've said this before as well, you've often mentioned that Bhutan is your teacher.
Yes.
And so what are some of the lessons, if you can share with our audience?
We have ideas about how, for example, a day can go. On the itinerary, it says we're doing this, 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 and this. Okay, it's going to be like this, 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 and this. So my experience in Bhutan is it's never like that. So one, it teaches you to sort of roll with what's happening. So patience. And I think it's a very, very strong place. And what it does is it puts you in touch with yourself in a way that you can't look away. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You get to, it's like a mirror. So in a way, it's like practice, being here, yeah? And I think, I don't know why that is. It's just that kind of a place. I think the natural elements are very strong here, still unspoiled, unpolluted. Nature is still bigger than us. And you can see in my paintings, like in this painting, for example, if you looked at my website, there's lots of people, right?
Yes,
crowds and many people, right? But in the Bhutan paintings, look at the people. See how there's 5 tiny people here. They're so tiny. And that's on purpose, because the environment here is the boss.
Yes. We're going to talk a little bit about gross national happiness, because
Okay.
that's also ties in very much to when we honor His Majesty
Yes,
the Fourth,
of
because
course.
he propounded the philosophy of GNH. Tatiana, GNH seems to resonate with you. You've written about it as well in this book.
Yeah.
How do you interpret GNH as an artist?
As an artist, well, my work is very joyful, right?
course.
I've been criticized that I paint people at leisure and only beautiful things. And often people say that when they look at my paintings, it makes them joyful. You couldn't say anything better to me.
Yes.
So of course that gross national happiness would resonate with me. Gross national happiness is a whole different way to measure well-being. To me, that makes way more sense. Way more sense. Yes, I could have also chosen to be a big-time lawyer and have an office and make whatever. No, I chose to do this. As an artist, you never know where your income is coming from.
Right.
But I feel very wealthy. I feel my life is enriched by that. So I really, really deeply believe in gross national happiness.
Tatiana, what do you hope Bhutanese audiences will feel when they see your work?
I don't have a lot of expectation. When I'm painting, I'm not painting so that somebody would think this or that, or painting in the way that now is acceptable or something like that. I can't do that. It doesn't come out right. So I hope that when it is done, one thing, that people will feel the authenticity, that people will feel joy, because I feel pure joy when I'm working. I'm a total workaholic. I would do this 24 hours a day. And that it will connect with, especially this body of work, that it will connect with, there's a certain level of profundity that I feel that I've encountered here. I hope that comes through, and I hope that people will pause long enough in front of each piece to receive that.
Now I would like to ask you questions about related to His Majesty the Great Fourth. What was your earliest memory of hearing about His Majesty the Fourth King?
Well, it's earlier than you would think. And coincidentally, actually, it just occurred to me, I said I started painting in earnest when I was 14.
Yes.
That's the first time I heard about His Majesty. And it happened because my father, who traveled a lot on business, came home with the National Geographic. And that issue was about the youngest monarch ever enthroned. And so when I read it, forgot about it. When years later I started hearing about Bhutan, especially when this invitation came, I was like, I'm going to find that National Geographic, and there it was. And I thought, oh, that was almost like a sign of some sort. Like, does that make sense?
Yes, again, it's serendipitous.
See, this is why I really do believe in lifetimes and interconnectedness, but I do wish I had more vision about it.
You mentioned being deeply moved by His Majesty the Fourth King's acts of service and humility. Was there a particular story or something that you might have heard that inspired you?
I was most moved by this image, which then I ended up painting, of this 17-year-old human being taking on, at that particular time, mind you, that was a tough time in this region, taking on this incredible burden, and so thoughtfully and so elegantly, and so also, is it right to say down to earth? Humbly. So I thought, oh, here is a human being that is an example, to so many. And how could you classify it as anything else other than a bodhisattva? You give your whole life in service of others. So Bhutan and His Majesty are inextricably, you can't separate the two. So it was really an honor, actually, to be able to do this. It's so moving, it is, one would aspire to that level of compassion,
You couldn't have said it better. I think many Bhutanese will deeply resonate with what you've just said, because for most of us, we do see His Majesty as a Bodhisattva King. And I think you've answered the next question, which was, how do you understand that, and how did it guide your work when you were doing this project?
So, I had to think, because when you're given a task, this is a tribute to His Majesty. The logical thing is like, okay, I had to write a proposal first to Tsering Tashi, so I had to think, well, I'll just paint the king. Well, no. One, I'm not a portraitist, so that would be a daunting task. Okay, I could paint certain moments from his history, but really I had to finally come to segments, a body of work that is the environment being preserved, a body of work that has to do with cultural preservation.
Right.
And then there are a few. One of my favorite paintings here is of His Majesty speaking to people about the Constitution, the story that he went around all the villages. Amazing,
Yes.
amazing. And then it ends, the catalog ends, and I believe the exhibition will end with His Majesty giving the crown to His Majesty. So it also very moving. That doesn't happen so often.
Tatiana, what do you hope His Majesty himself would feel if he walked through your exhibition?
Oh, what a tough question. I hope that he would feel my sincerity in the offering. I hope he would feel joy. I hope he might even laugh, because some of them are humorous a little bit, and that he would like it. Like every artist wants people. I think every artist wants people to like it. I can't say. Sometimes people say, I hope it would inspire something. He's an inspired being. I just hope that he enjoys it, thoroughly. That's mainly what I would hope.
It's wonderful. The exhibition is both an offering and a mirror of your own journey, and now I really do see it. Looking beyond this exhibition, how do you see your artistic relationship with Bhutan continuing?
In my dream of dreams, I would be able to come here and paint these things in situ, as they say, in location, and also get to know more remote parts of Bhutan. I showed you that one painting I painted from a dream, right?
Beautiful.
And then we located it in Lingji.
Yes.
I hope in the future, maybe,
So nice.
and maybe also I could meet different people who are not on the tourist tour round. That would be incredible if it ever happened. And the other thing that somebody brought it up from Naropa University, who used to have a student exchange here, and she said, oh, would you be interested in teaching? And I said, well, because I do teach from Thai. I used to teach at Naropa. Of course, I love sharing this because I have such a passion for it. I think everybody should paint, So, of course, if there was ever interest, one of the beautiful things that, I'm so sorry that she couldn't be here, my co-founder of Terra Magica Immersion. It's a mouthful to say, but it's a contemplative art workshops that we have once a year in Croatia. And she really is the organizer. I'm the teacher. She organizes everything. Her dream is that we bring that to Bhutan, that we bring our students to Bhutan. She hasn't yet figured out how, but I'm sure she will.
I have a feeling it's going to materialize.
I have a feeling it might materialize. That would, I think for her and I both, it would be a dream. And I really, it might. You never know, you never know. Impossible things have happened in my life. I have a weird practice of imagining in my head, okay, this is what this will, like, I imagined this exhibition, how it would look before they were created. And I imagined it on a yellow wall, which is weird because there's no gallery that has a yellow wall. But Wangduechhoeling Palace has a yellow wall. Isn't that weird?
It's amazing.
Yeah. So I think, okay, if I imagine it, it might come true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
My final question for this interview segment is, if you could describe Bhutan in 3 words as Tatiana the person, what would they be?
I think the first one that comes to my mind is home, then mysterious, profoundly strong, and future.
This is also a moment where I'd like to ask you if there's anything else you'd like to add, and perhaps with our viewers, if you'd like to share.
Sure. So many people have asked, why is this, who am I giving this to? And I feel like I wanted this to be a gift, no strings attached gift to show my appreciation to the country. And the country to me is not separate from His Majesty. So this was such a fortuitous, I feel a lot of blessings in this invitation and in being able to offer this. It's an offering, really from the heart.
In Tatiana's world, colors become devotion, light becomes gratitude, and through every brushstroke, she reminds us that the truest art, like the truest leadership, comes from love. His Majesty King Jigme Singye Wangchuk, the fourth Druk Gyalpo, led Bhutan into the modern era with humility and wisdom. His reign was marked not by power but by purpose, a purpose that placed the happiness and well-being of every Bhutanese at its heart. Through these 70 paintings, Tatiana Krizmanic honors His Majesty not only as a monarch but as a Bodhisattva King, a leader whose life continues to inspire compassion in all who walk this land. Echoes of a Kingdom is more than an exhibition. It is a love letter from an artist to a king, from a palace to its people, and from Bhutan to the world.